Throughout American history, encounters with wild and domesticated animals have sometimes turned deadly, leaving shocking stories behind. From unexpected shark attacks along the coast to tragic bear maulings in the wilderness, these incidents reveal nature's raw power and unpredictability, reminding us how quickly ordinary moments can turn terrifying. The story of Timothy Treadwell stands as a haunting reminder that nature does not bend to human emotion, no matter how strongly someone believes otherwise. For more than a decade, Treadwell spent his summers in Katmai National Park and Preserve, living among wild grizzly bears as though he were part of their world. He was not a formally trained scientist, yet he was deeply passionate and convinced that he had developed a rare and meaningful connection with these powerful animals. Through countless hours of self-recorded footage, he documented his life among them, speaking to the bears, naming them, and approaching them at distances that most experts would consider extremely dangerous. To him, the bears were gentle and misunderstood creatures that had been unfairly feared and misrepresented. He believed that with enough patience and respect, humans and bears could coexist peacefully without conflict or danger. However, what makes this story so unsettling is not only how it ended, but how clearly the risks were present from the very beginning of his journey into the wilderness. Over the years, Treadwell's confidence in his understanding of the bears continued to grow, and that confidence gradually shifted into something far more dangerous. He began to see himself not just as an observer, but as a guardian and an accepted presence within their habitat. This belief led him to take greater risks, often ignoring basic wildlife safety principles that exist for a reason. In October 2003, near the end of the feeding season when bears are known to be at their most aggressive due to limited food availability, he made the decision to remain in the area longer than usual. This period is widely recognized by experts as one of the most dangerous times to be near grizzly bears. Alongside him was his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, who was far less comfortable with the situation but trusted his experience and judgment. One night, a large grizzly bear entered their campsite. What followed was not the calm interaction Treadwell had come to expect, but a sudden and violent attack. The camera they had with them was recording at the time, but the lens cap remained on, capturing only the audio of the incident, which was later described as deeply disturbing by those who heard it, including filmmaker Werner Herzog, who chose never to release it out of respect for the victims. In the aftermath of the attack, investigators arrived at the scene and were forced to confront the harsh reality of what had taken place. The bear responsible was located and shot, and human remains were later discovered, confirming the tragic sequence of events. The incident quickly became a subject of global discussion and debate. Some people viewed Treadwell as a devoted conservationist who had sacrificed his life in pursuit of protecting animals he deeply loved, while others considered his actions to be dangerously misguided and reckless. Wildlife experts largely agreed that grizzly bears are not capable of forming emotional bonds in the way humans often imagine. They are driven by instinct, survival needs, and territorial behavior rather than affection or trust. Treadwell's admiration for these animals was genuine and intense, but his belief that he could safely become part of their world ultimately led to fatal consequences. The bears were not acting out of cruelty or malice, but simply following their natural instincts. In the end, this tragedy serves as a powerful and sobering lesson about the importance of respecting the boundaries of the natural world, recognizing the limits of human understanding, and maintaining a safe distance from even the most fascinating and seemingly peaceful wild creatures. When it comes to tragic stories that make people stop and reconsider the delicate balance between humans and wild animals, the story of Dawn Brancheau and Tilikum stands out. Dawn was not just any SeaWorld trainer. She was a senior professional with years of experience who had dedicated her life to working with orcas. She had an extraordinary ability to connect with these massive marine mammals, earning the trust of animals that could easily overpower even the strongest humans. Among her regular companions was Tilikum, a giant orca weighing over 12,000 pounds with a history that was already infamous. Tilikum had been involved in 2 previous human deaths before Dawn's encounter, and yet remained in captivity performing for crowds. On February 24, 2010, what was meant to be a routine post-show interaction by the pool turned into a nightmare. Witnesses reported seeing Dawn being dragged underwater repeatedly in front of an audience that was paralyzed with shock. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but despite their efforts, it was already too late. This was not an accident caused by recklessness or lack of skill. Dawn knew the risks and had spent years learning how to safely work with orcas. Tilikum's actions reminded everyone present that wild animals, no matter how accustomed to humans, retain instincts and strength far beyond what is safe to underestimate. The horror of the moment was compounded by the fact that it unfolded in public, a stark reminder that even in controlled environments, nature cannot be fully tamed. The incident shocked the world and ignited a global discussion about the ethics of keeping intelligent, sentient animals in captivity for entertainment. Before this tragedy, many visitors to marine parks saw orcas as friendly performers without understanding the psychological and physical stress these animals endured in tanks and enclosures. Dawn's death and Tilikum's involvement brought the issue into sharp focus. Documentaries like Blackfish further revealed the consequences of confinement and the strain it places on animals that were meant to roam vast oceans. The story also highlighted shortcomings in safety protocols and risk management. Trainers were often relying on personal experience, familiarity, and trust to interact with multi-ton predators. After Dawn's death, SeaWorld and other marine parks introduced stricter regulations, including maintaining greater distances between trainers and whales, implementing emergency procedures, and changing interaction methods. These reforms showed that the tragedy could lead to meaningful improvements and potentially prevent similar incidents in the future. It also forced the public to reflect on the responsibilities humans have when interacting with powerful creatures whose natural behaviors cannot be fully predicted or controlled. Dawn Brancheau's legacy is remembered not just as a victim of a tragic accident, but as a professional whose courage, dedication, and passion for marine life were extraordinary. Her story continues to remind people that working with wild animals requires respect, caution, and understanding. Tilikum, meanwhile, became a symbol of the conflict between human fascination with wildlife and the reality of animal instinct. The tragedy underscored the risks involved in bringing wild creatures into human-centered environments and highlighted ethical questions about captivity that remain relevant today. While the story is heartbreaking, it also serves as a powerful lesson about responsibility and the limits of human control over nature. Dawn's life and death continue to influence safety regulations, public awareness, and discussions about animal welfare around the world. The event was not just a moment of loss, it was a turning point that shaped how trainers, parks, and audiences view the interaction between humans and some of the most intelligent animals on the planet. It is a story of admiration, courage, tragedy, and reflection that will not be forgotten. In the early 2000s, San Francisco was rocked by a tragedy that no one could have expected in the quiet hallways of a posh apartment building: the death of Diane Whipple. Diane, a 33-year-old lacrosse player, coach, and generally vibrant young woman, was known for her energy, dedication, and love of life. On January 26, 2001, she returned home one seemingly ordinary evening carrying groceries, never imagining that her life would end violently just steps from her door. Waiting in that hallway were two massive Presa Canario dogs, Bane and Hera, animals whose size and strength were intimidating to begin with, but whose temperament had been woefully underestimated. These dogs, owned by notorious figures yet managed by two neighbors, Marjorie Knoller and Robert Knoll, had a history of aggression, a fact that made the coming attack tragically predictable. In a terrifying and chaotic series of events, the dogs lunged at Diane, sinking their teeth into her body again and again, dragging her down the hallway in a frenzy of power and ferocity. Despite her struggle and screams, she was overpowered by the sheer force of these animals, succumbing to her injuries and blood loss before help could arrive. The horror of the attack was magnified not just by its brutality, but also by its location, a place that should have felt safe, familiar, and ordinary. The mauling left a mark on the city, the nation, and the law itself. forcing questions about responsibility, negligence, and the limits of human accountability in cases involving dangerous animals. The legal aftermath of Diane Whipple's death became a case study in both criminal law and the social perception of pet ownership. Marjorie Knoller, who had been walking the dogs that fateful day, was charged with second-degree murder, a rare and surprising charge for a dog attack. Her partner in crime, Robert Knoll, faced involuntary manslaughter charges, despite not being physically present during the attack. The courtroom drama that unfolded was intense and emotionally charged. The prosecution argued convincingly that Knoller had knowingly kept dangerous animals in a residential building, demonstrating a form of implied malice that justified a murder conviction. The jury ultimately agreed, sentencing Knoller to 15 years to life in prison, while Knoll received a lighter sentence for his indirect role. The case was groundbreaking in many ways, illustrating that human choices, particularly those involving the management of dangerous animals, can carry consequences far beyond civil liability, extending into criminal accountability. Beyond the legal rulings, the trial drew national attention, prompting public debates about the regulation of powerful dog breeds, the responsibilities of owners, and the sometimes blurry line between accident and culpability. Even years after the incident, Diane Whipple's story remains a chilling reminder of how quickly ordinary life can be shattered by negligence and misjudgment. The case prompted changes in awareness and policy around dangerous dogs, highlighting the need for stricter ownership laws, better reporting of aggressive behavior, and careful consideration of animal temperament in urban settings. More than just a legal precedent, Diane's death became a cultural touchpoint, symbolizing the vulnerabilities that exist in seemingly safe spaces. Friends, family, and the wider community were left grappling with grief, anger, and the haunting question of what could have been done to prevent such a horrific outcome. While it is easy to sensationalize the case as a shocking crime story, at its core, it is a sobering tale about responsibility, the unforeseen dangers lurking in familiar places, and the irreversible impact of human decisions. Diane Whipple's name lives on not just as a victim, but as a catalyst for reflection, law, and a cautious respect for the powerful animals that share our spaces, reminding us that safety, foresight, and accountability are never negotiable. In the summer of 2016, a quiet day at Disney World turned into a tragedy that shook the nation when a 2-year-old boy was taken by an alligator at the Seven Seas Lagoon. For millions, Disney World represents a place of magic, laughter, and childhood wonder, a place where families expect safety and adventure in equal measure. That illusion of total safety was shattered when the unimaginable occurred. The boy, waiting near the water's edge with his family, became the victim of a natural predator that had been living in the lagoon for years, unseen and unnoticed until that fateful moment. The alligator, reportedly over 10 feet long, lunged from the water and dragged the child in front of horrified onlookers. Resort staff and emergency responders rushed to the scene, but despite exhaustive search efforts, the child's life could not be saved. The tragedy immediately captured worldwide attention, not only for its inherent horror, but for the stark reminder that nature, no matter how controlled the setting, can be unpredictable and dangerous. The aftermath of the attack prompted widespread scrutiny of the safety measures in place at Disney World and similar resorts in Florida, a state known for its large alligator population. Investigators examined the area, assessing how an apex predator could coexist so closely with guests in a recreational space. While alligators are common in lakes, rivers, and lagoons throughout the state, their presence in high-traffic areas like theme parks highlighted the delicate balance between wildlife conservation and human safety. Disney officials, while deeply affected by the incident, quickly implemented stricter safety measures, including reinforced barriers, additional signage warning of alligators, and clearer guidelines for guests regarding proximity to water bodies. The incident also raised public awareness about the importance of vigilance near natural habitats, emphasizing that even seemingly tame environments are home to unpredictable wildlife. Beyond the immediate safety measures, the Seven Seas Lagoon attack sparked broader conversations about human interaction with natural predators and the responsibility of public spaces to prevent similar tragedies. Experts noted that while alligator attacks are statistically rare, their consequences are severe, and resorts must continually adapt to minimize risks. Families visiting Florida's lakes, ponds, and resort lagoons were reminded of the importance of supervision, caution, and respect for local wildlife. The incident remains one of the most high-profile alligator attacks in U.S. history, partly because it occurred in a location universally associated with safety and fun, amplifying the public shock. For Disney, the attack was a harsh lesson in contingency planning and wildlife management, influencing not only how the resort handles animal hazards, but also how guests are educated about potential dangers. Ultimately, the tragedy at Seven Seas Lagoon serves as a somber reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the responsibilities humans bear in navigating spaces where wildlife exists. While the lagoon continues to be a popular attraction, and Disney World remains a place of joy for millions, the memory of that day has left an indelible mark, highlighting the necessity of constant vigilance, informed safety measures, and the respect for the natural world that surrounds even the most seemingly controlled environments. The incident underscores that magic and tragedy can sometimes coexist in unexpected ways, and that a single moment of misfortune can reshape policies, perceptions, and the very landscape of human-wildlife interaction. Back in the scorching summer of 1916, the Jersey Shore, a stretch of sandy beaches and bustling summer towns in New Jersey, became the setting for one of the most shocking and unusual series of shark attacks in American history. Over roughly 12 days, 4 people lost their lives, and another was seriously injured, leaving the nation in disbelief and widespread panic. What made these attacks extraordinary was not only their sudden ferocity, but also the locations in which they occurred. While most people imagine shark attacks taking place far out in the ocean, these deadly encounters occurred both at the beaches and far inland in the shallow waters of Matawan Creek, a tidal inlet more than a mile from the Atlantic Ocean. The thought that a shark could travel upriver and strike unsuspecting swimmers challenged everything people thought they knew about these predators and transformed a routine summer into a national nightmare. Eyewitnesses described sudden and violent attacks that left communities reeling, and newspapers of the time, eager to capture readers, painted terrifying pictures of monsters lurking beneath the waves. Families who had spent generations enjoying the shore became wary of stepping into the water, and local authorities scrambled to determine what type of shark could produce such devastation. Historians and marine biologists have debated the species responsible ever since, with some suggesting the great white shark, the ocean's iconic predator, while others argue for the bull shark, known for its ability to tolerate fresh water. Whatever the species, the events of that July left a lasting impression and demonstrated how nature could suddenly intrude into human spaces in violent and unpredictable ways. The attacks also had a profound cultural impact and are often cited as an inspiration for Peter Benchley's novel Jaws, which would later terrify moviegoers worldwide in Steven Spielberg's film adaptation. While Benchley emphasized that his book was fiction and not a literal retelling of the Jersey Shore attacks, the public perception of sharks as ruthless man-eaters was reinforced by both history and popular culture. Beyond entertainment, the attacks encouraged scientific curiosity and debates, prompting early studies into shark behavior, migratory patterns, and environmental factors that might lead a shark to approach humans. Heat waves, unusually high numbers of swimmers, and depleted natural prey are among the theories proposed to explain why this particular week became so deadly. Communities along the Jersey Shore, once confident in the safety of their beaches, were forced to reconsider the balance between human recreation and natural danger, laying the groundwork for modern beach safety protocols, warning systems, and awareness campaigns. The events of that summer demonstrated that human dominion over nature is limited, and that even the most familiar and seemingly safe environments can hide unpredictable threats. Today, more than a century later, The 1916 shark attacks remain a chilling reminder of how quickly a tranquil summer day can turn into tragedy. The Matawan Creek incidents in particular continue to fascinate and horrify with the sheer improbability of a shark striking so far inland. While it is easy to sensationalize the events, the real lesson lies in respecting the power of nature and understanding human vulnerability. The Jersey Shore attacks were not just isolated tragedies, but a turning point in public consciousness, showing how fear, fascination, and the unknown intersect in moments of danger. History records the attacks in books, documentaries, and online archives, preserving both the human stories and the environmental lessons they offer. They remind us that while the ocean can be inviting, it can also be unpredictable and deadly, and that awareness, caution, and respect for the natural world are as important today as they were in 1916. The events of that summer serve as a lasting narrative of human vulnerability, cultural transformation, and the extraordinary power of nature, blending historical fact with the kind of drama that continues to captivate generations.